like to welcome everyone to the 2020 Annual General Meeting for Burlington Green Environmental Association. We're so glad you could join us. My name is Gloria Reid, and I am President of the Board of Directors of Burlington Green, and I'd like to begin by sharing a land acknowledgement. So, Burlington as we know it today is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Haudenosaunee and the Métis, our lands spanning from Lake Ontario to the Niagara Escarpment are steeped in Indigenous history. The territory is mutually covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy, the Ojibwe, and other allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Okay, thank you. And to support what I hope will be a smooth flowing experience for everyone, I will run through a few technical considerations. Our AGM should last less than 60 minutes. As we have a considerable number of attendees today on this webinar, we've muted participant lines to improve sound quality. If you move your cursor or mouse over the bottom of the screen, you'll see an icon on the right labeled Q&A, and the chat icon is more towards the middle of the bottom of the screen. Just click on the chat icon if you have a technical question about the webinar and how technically you're connected, and click on the Q&A icon to submit a question about the content of the meeting. We will be addressing as many of your questions as we can at the end of the meeting during the Q&A period. Any we can't get to will be followed up on after the meeting. And please note that we are recording this meeting as well. Okay, so let's get underway. It is now my pleasure to call our AGM to order. Joining me today as presenters are Amy Schnurr, Executive Director, and Alex Farrow, Director. And we have team members Marwa, Sue, and Kayla assisting with tech support. As well, past and present directors, officers, members, supporters, and staff are with us. I'm particularly pleased that BG founder and first president, Kurt Koster, is with us today. Hi, Kurt. We are very excited to share highlights of 2019, how 2020 is shaping up, and to hear from you with any questions and suggestions you may have. We very much encourage an inclusive and participatory experience. And in addition to the usual AGM business to transact, we also hope this event will be informative and fun. Our quorum requirement for the business portion of the meeting is 15 members in good standing, and I am pleased to report that we do have quorum, with members present, along with those who voted by proxy submissions to Brian Ellis, our corporate secretary. Not sure if you are a current BG member or not? If you received an email from us with the full AGM package, including all resolutions to be voted on today, then you are asked to please vote on all of the upcoming motions. And given the challenges of doing our AGM virtually, I've asked in advance for movers and seconders for all the motions. So as we get to each motion, I will let you know who has agreed to provide these. We are using poll questions for voting purposes. When each motion appears, members will be asked to vote in favor, opposed, or abstain. So if you could use your mouse to select the option you prefer. Please vote promptly when the poll appears on the screen, and I will give you a friendly prompt just before we close each poll. All members who were in good standing in advance of our AGM are eligible to vote, and as I mentioned, receive the full AGM package, including all the resolutions that will be voted upon today. That material was also posted on the website. Each motion requires a simple majority to pass. In other words, if more than 50% favor a motion, it passes. So how about a little fun to try out the poll function? And everyone who's on the call on the webinar today can participate in this one, members and non-members. So Kayla, could you please launch the poll? And if everyone can use your cursor to make your selection, so which of the following eco actions do you enjoy doing the most? I know it's hard to pick, but if you could pick your favorite. And hit the submit button. And I'll give everybody a few more seconds to get it done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Marwa, could you close the poll, please, and display the results? There we are. Okay, Jacqueline didn't see the poll. Did anybody else have that problem? Hopefully that will not happen, Jacqueline, but bear with us. Okay, hopefully everybody else saw the poll. And I'll let Sue maybe try to work with you on chat offline, Jacqueline, to see if we can solve that. Okay, so great. And hopefully it was easy for everyone. And we will have another fun poll at the close of the meeting with all participants entered into a draw for a chance to win a Great Eco Prize. So Marwa, if you could close that one, please, and let's move on to review this evening's agenda and get the motions and poll portion of the event underway. So our proposed agenda, we now proceed with presenting, our proposed agenda. And we've got the opening call to order and presentation of the agenda, approval of the agenda, which is before you right now. The minutes from the Burlington Green 2019 annual general meeting held last year in March have been sent out, so we will have a vote on to approve those. We will have a presentation of the 2019 financial report, a thank you to outgoing directors and election of incoming directors. And we have one item of business to deal with around membership, replacing our bylaw number 1 with a new bylaw number 2, and a presentation of the 2019 impact report and next steps by Amy. We'll have our Q&A period and a fun final poll for everybody with a great prize and a great thank you to wrap it all up. So now we will proceed with presenting and voting on the various motions, and remember please that voting is reserved for current members, but it's typically a fairly quick process. We hope everyone will stay with us, learn a bit about our AGM procedures, and then we will move directly on to sharing our impressive 2019 impact report results. We will be confirming the vote tallies and participation for accuracy following the meeting. Okay, for motion number 1, Nicole Mark has moved and Susan Fraser has seconded the first motion to adopt the agenda. Kayla, could you please launch the poll for motion number 1? So if everyone could now please vote on the motion that the agenda as presented for the 2020 annual general meeting be adopted. And hit the submit button. And I'll give you a couple of seconds if you're having a challenge. And Marwa, could you please post the results? And we have 96% in favor. So we have a passed motion, and thank you very much. That one went fairly well. Thanks, Marwa. Motion number 2, whoops, just back, we have another motion. Motion number 2, the 2019 AGM minutes were sent to all members by email in advance of this meeting. Brian Ellis has moved and Jim Fielders has seconded the motion to adopt the minutes. Kayla, can you please launch the poll for motion number 2? Okay, and could all members please vote that the 2019 AGM minutes be approved? If you could vote now, please. And once you voted, hit the submit button. I'll give you the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. Marwa, could you please post the results? Okay, so we have the AGM minutes approved. That motion has passed. Thank you. And before we move on to the next motion regarding our 2019 financials, I'd like to invite our interim board treasurer, Alex Farrell, to provide a brief overview. And again, if you have any questions on this or any of the information shared, please submit them by clicking on the Q&A option at the bottom of your screen, and we will address them at the end of the agenda during the Q&A portion. So over to you, Alex.
Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear me okay. You mind just going to the next slide for me? Thank you. So we have completed our financial year ending December 2019, and members received the audit report directly by email in advance of this meeting. It is also being posted on the BurlingtonGreen website since May 20th. In addition to providing the detailed auditor's report, we thought it would be helpful to share these high-level results. Beginning with the 2019 revenue chart on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see that funding from grants continues to remain our primary source of funding, which is consistent with BG's financial history. Namely, our grants from the Ontario Trillium Foundation, to which we are extremely grateful. Over the years, the board and executive director identified the essential need to adopt a diversification of funding sources model. We have focused our efforts on the other sources to supplement the grants. These sources include sponsors, which will often see fluctuations if the organization hosts large-scale events, such as those at the Performing Arts Center with world-renowned speakers. In 2019, we did not host any such events. Additionally, in 2019, the organization received a sizable gift in our donation category from a very generous anonymous donor, which supplemented our funding. Finally, you will see the other category at 4%. This is made up of event and product fees with some income generated from our eco-product sales at our outreach events. Next, moving on to the second pie chart on the right-hand side of your screen, labeled expenses, you can see that we continue to operate very leanly. We continue to put every dollar we receive to work right here at home in the Burlington community. 83% of our funding goes directly to our charitable environmental programming work. 14% is then directed to essential admin costs such as rent, insurance, booking, and audit work. Hopefully I can fix my audio as Jennifer just pointed out. The remaining 3% was allocated to fundraising related costs, and we expected this percentage to climb significantly in 2020 now that we have onboarded a dedicated staff person. Thus, overall, we closed off the year with a tight balance between our revenue and expenses and a challenging start to 2020. As you will see and learn from Amy's 2019 impact report presentation, our board is thrilled with how she and her team managed and allocated funds to achieve maximum benefit to advance our charity's important mission. Thank you, everyone. And again, please submit any questions you may have via the Q&A function below on our screen, and we'll address those at the end of the meeting. I'll now turn the mic back over to Gloria to proceed with the motion.
Thank you, Alex. And we did lose you a little bit on the last bit, so I have your remarks as well. So if you like, I can just quickly go over them again. I think it was during the expense. As you said, we operate very leanly. 83% of our funding goes directly to our environmental programming work. 14% directed to essential admin costs such as rent, insurance, bookkeeping, audit. The remaining 3% was allocated to fundraising related costs, but we expect this percentage to climb significantly in 2020 now that we have onboarded a dedicated staff person to coordinate fundraising and manage donor engagement. So thus, we closed off 2019 with a tight balance, a challenging start to 2020, but as you'll soon learn from Amy's impact report presentation, the board is thrilled with how she and her team managed to stretch and allocate funds to achieve maximum benefit to advance our charity's important mission. Okay, and as we said, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put those in the Q&A. Thanks very much. So thank you, Alex. And so we can now proceed with the next motion. And Paul Haskins has moved, and Ushma Purowat has seconded the motion to approve the 2019 financial report. Kayla, can you please launch the poll for motion number 3? And the motion is that the BLR 2019 audit be approved. Could everybody please vote? Thanks, Alex. And submit. And give you a couple of more seconds to vote. Marwa, could you please post the results? Terrific. The motion has passed, so thank you very much, everybody. And continuing with the financial focus, Burlington Green would like to reappoint BLR as our audit firm, and we have a motion to approve BLR LLP as the auditor for Burlington Green for fiscal year 2020. So Erica Minkhorst has moved and Alex Farrell has seconded this motion. Kayla, can you please launch the poll for motion number 4? So the motion that the auditors for Burlington Green, BLR LLP be approved for the fiscal year 2020. Please vote and hit submit. And I'll do my fastest countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. Marwa, could you please post the results? Thank you. The motion has passed. Thanks very much. Our next AGM motion pertains to our slate of board of directors. Our bylaws allow for 12 directors. We currently have 3 board directors who are wrapping up their board service: Paul Haskins, Jim Fielders, and Shani Wang. We would like to take this opportunity to thank Paul, Jim, and Shani for their extensive contributions and their commitment to Burlington Green. Paul has been a BG ambassador since Burlington Green's early days. He worked with the founding board, became president in 2013, following Kirk Koster and Ken Woodruff, and has continued as past president and a great director. He and his family have volunteered at many BG events, and we remain forever grateful to Paul for his generosity and long-term leadership. Jim was drawn to BG as a knowledgeable and passionate volunteer in the advocacy program, and then joined the board in 2013, and has been one of BG's most shining examples of walking the talk with his fabulous green home and sustainable lifestyle. We are thrilled that Jim will be continuing to support Burlington Green with our critical fundraising efforts. And Shani joined the board as a volunteer in 2018, serving as our treasurer, further strengthening our financial management and accountability efforts, especially during our transition to charitable status. We are very grateful to Shani for her valued contributions and are so pleased that she will continue to be a supporter of BG going forward. So thank you, Paul, Jim, and Shani, for your exemplary service. The balance of our 2019 slate of directors are standing for re-election and are being joined by our newest director, Tessa Christie. So welcome, Tess. And here's the list of incoming board directors in alphabetical order: Tessa Christie, Brian Ellis, Alex Farrow, Susan Fraser, Nicole Mark, Erica Minkhorst, Ushma Purowat, and Gloria Reid. Nicole Mark has moved and Susan Fraser has seconded the motion to approve the 2020 slate of directors. So Kayla, can you please launch the poll for motion number 5? That the list of incoming board directors be approved. Could you please vote, members? And hit the submit button. And vote. Marwa, could you please post the results? And we are good. Thank you. The motion has passed. And we have one motion remaining, and this pertains to a shift away from our longtime membership model. And this model has served the organization and the community we serve very well over the years. In fact, it's fair to say that it was in large part the original and continuing membership supporters that believed in the value of our work since the beginning and have been on this decade-plus journey with us ever since. We remain forever grateful to these early adopters for ensuring Burlington Green got up and running on solid ground, serving as the respected go-to environmental organization for Burlington. However, as is the case with many other organizations that have moved away from the membership model, we now have an opportunity to take the next step in our organization's evolution as presented by the adoption of the Ontario Nonprofit Corporations Act. In the true spirit of membership under this new act, members will be actively involved in governance and ongoing decision-making. And given our growth, our escalating demands on the organization, and the increasing need to act quickly and nimbly, it is prudent and more effective for us to move forward with board directors serving this role and our members transitioning to supporters and friends of Burlington Green. So this shift requires a replacement of our current bylaw number 1 with the redrafted bylaw number 2 as drafted and circulated to all members to allow us to make these changes. So to proceed with the motion, could you launch the motion, please? Brian Ellis has moved and Jim Fielders has seconded the motion to adopt bylaw number 2, replacing bylaw number 1 as of this date. So could all members please vote in favor, opposed, or abstain? Please submit. And I will give the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Marwa, could you please post the results? And the motion has passed. Thank you very much, everyone. So this concludes the business portion of the AGM. I want to thank you for listening and participating. And again, we invite your submitted questions. We'd now like to move on to the portion of the meeting that shines a light on the impactful work that was carried out in 2019 by the board and Amy and her hardworking team, along with many community volunteers and project partners. So over to you, Amy, please.
Thanks very much, Gloria. And before I begin, can you just chime in, Gloria, that you can hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, perfect. I just don't want to continue on and have folks struggling. Thanks again.
Okay.
So before I do jump in to share the 2019 impact presentation, I hope you'll just allow me to take a few minutes to acknowledge Gloria as our outgoing board president. Gloria's hands and heart have and continue to touch all aspects of BG's important work that benefits all of the community. Since she joined us in our efforts way back in 2011, she's actively advocated on a myriad of issues. She's provided lots of community outreach. She's hand sorted mountains of waste at events, which is surely, that's dedication. And she has planted many trees and much more. And then starting in 2016, Gloria began serving as our board president, generously contributing her strategic thinking and financial expertise, her superb organizational skills and wonderful leadership to the team, guiding our organization with integrity and passion and unparalleled commitment. She has forever made a significant impact for the betterment of our organization and the community and the health of the environment. And we are certainly thrilled and grateful that Gloria will be continuing to volunteer with BG, serving on our board of directors. So thank you, Gloria Reid. All right. So moving on to the impact report, many of you have already had a chance to check out the report recently published to our website, or if you're a member, you will have received it directly via email. And I've taken the liberty of extracting a few sections of it here to share with all of you this evening. And again, at the end of the presentation, following, there will be a Q&A portion where you're more than welcome to ask questions. That would be great. Some of you may know that our board of directors adopted a 5-year strategic plan in 2018, which among other things includes 3 key priorities, which you can see around the tree there. Our environmental priorities, while there are many, the 3 that we really want to spend a lot of time on during the 5-year horizon is green space protection and enhancement. We want to move Burlington closer to being a zero waste community. And we want to advance more smart or low carbon communities throughout the city of Burlington. A second priority for us is community empowerment. We cannot do this alone, and so our strategic plan is intentionally titled Branching Out. So we want to, and we have been, enabling versus doing focus with our audiences. We've been busy increasing community awareness, growing partnerships, and building a stronger culture of community in Burlington through an eco-focus. And our third priority area is growth and sustainability. And here we aim to increase our funding from a diversity of sources, grow our human resources, both staff and volunteer and board, to better keep pace with the demands placed on our organization, as well as to further strengthen our already very strong results reporting. We always want to improve in that area as well. And so as you can see on the bulleted list to the left, we've achieved tremendous progress in advancing each of these areas in 2019. Many of you know that since our organization started back in 2007, we adopted what we call a AAA approach, and it's through awareness, advocacy, and action, and together with the community, that we're able to do all this impactful work. So moving on to the first approach area, which is awareness. We were really pleased in 2019 to provide 9 different engaging and empowering programs to various sectors. Many of those names of those programs, some of you are already familiar with, some are brand new, and some have been around for quite some time. And every single one of the program areas that we offer are purposeful. They're intentional. They fill a gap. Nobody else is quite doing those that way. We can't afford to duplicate efforts, so we're always working hard to observe what's going on in the community, listen to what the needs are, and aim to fill those gaps. Moving on to advocacy. During 2019, we hosted a debate, and we advocated for stronger environmental policies and protection across 13 different issues. Our superb team of volunteers on the advocacy team were led by staff member Marwa. And one of the areas of many that they focused on was early on, even before the city of Burlington presented its draft climate action plan, our team submitted a comprehensive best practice focused climate action strategy for Burlington. And we were certainly pleased to see many of our recommendations that were provided in that submission found their way into the city's adopted plan. In addition to the research, written submissions, and in-person delegations and coalition work that we did with national partners such as Environmental Defence Canada, again, we were pleased to host another election debate in 2019, this one for the federal election candidates. Held at Nouveau Network, the debate event, along with our posted candidate questionnaire responses, combined to really help inform the community about where each of the parties and the candidates stood on the critical issue of climate change and various other locally focused environmental issues. Moving on to our third area of approach, which is action. Together with the community and our various project partners, we rolled up our sleeves and we dug in, and we made a significant impact again in 2019, improving the health of the environment. From hosting the city's largest volunteer participatory community cleanup week, to improving local habitats, diverting mountains of waste from going to the landfill, to empowering volunteers to donate healthy organic produce to local families in need. Our outdoor, hands-on, action-focused activities remain our primary pathway to attract and actively engage people of all ages throughout the city to get involved and to make a difference. Moving over to the strategic goals, and you saw earlier on the tree diagram that we have 3 overall strategic goals, and through the environmental priorities, you can see some of the results here for, again, this is strictly 2019. For example, we had a whopping 110 community cleanups take place during Earth Week, almost 8 tons of waste diverted just through our event greening services. And our team, including the Popular Youth Network, conducted habitat restoration work for 8 projects, just to name a few. Moving on to our second strategic goal of community empowerment. Most definitely 2019 reflected that branching out strategic focus. We grew our cross-sector reach, strengthening our valued partnerships, and we're becoming increasingly recognized as a go-to rewarding place for those keen to volunteer and make a difference right here in Burlington. Our third strategic goal, growth and sustainability. We grew our staff team and volunteer crew in 2019, and we achieved a significant milestone of becoming a registered charity. This is fabulous because it opens up some funding doors for us while also providing donors with charitable tax receipts. We were also thrilled, as Alex mentioned, to receive a very generous gift from a donor directed to the hiring of a much welcome donor engagement and philanthropy manager. And I invite any and all of you to reach out to Sue anytime with any questions or comments you have about our growth and sustainability and fundraising. Since our inception, we've had a tagline as an organization, which is "Together we make a difference." And that was certainly well demonstrated throughout 2019, each and every day. The tremendous impact we've achieved during the past 12 years and throughout 2019 is most definitely a result of the hard work, the passion, the generosity, and dedication of many. And we, the Burlington community, now and in the future, are forever grateful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And to everyone on this call who I know are longtime supporters of Burlington Green. So even though that's all about 2019, or just the highlights anyway, I would be remiss in not pointing out a little bit about what we're up to right now, 2020, seeing as we're almost into June, if we can believe it or not. And I'll just briefly say that there's never a down or slow time at BG. And certainly as more and more Burlingtonians experience the impacts of climate change personally, right here at home, the demands on our organization absolutely continue to rise. And thus, as we headed into 2020, like every year, we hit the ground running, busy planning for another impactful year ahead. And then when the news of COVID hit, we immediately adopted a health and safety first protocol with team members shifting to their home offices, and we pivoted the majority of our awareness and advocacy work quite seamlessly to an online format. It's not the same, obviously, as mobilizing the community in person, but we're able to do quite a bit in the online world. Our action work certainly has been more of a challenge, as if we've had to put the spring cleanup, and this year's our 10-year anniversary of that. We've had to put that and our tree planting events on hold as we take our cues from the city, who serves as a key partner for many of these citywide opportunities. But we are definitely hopeful that we can resume those activities safely in the fall. Unfortunately, we have had to, like many other organizations and businesses, we've had to reduce our staff complement due to financial challenges resulting from COVID-19. But we remain determined and committed to continue to forge ahead, collaborating with all sectors of the community to make a difference, an even bigger impact throughout 2020, however we can. And much of that work will reinforce certainly how human health and the economy directly interconnects with environmental health, which we all know. So without further ado, I'd like to thank all of you for your attention. And again, please feel free to submit any questions you may have. and I'll enthusiastically respond to them. And I will pass the microphone back over to Gloria.
Great. Thank you very much, Amy. And picking up on your comments about how we've been impacted financially due to COVID, many of you have donated to Burlington Green over the years, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We recognize that you too may be affected financially because of COVID, but if you find you are in a position to contribute, however small, we have an exciting Matching May campaign on right now. And when you make a donation to us before the end of May, additional funds will be directed to us through a group called the Small Change Fund. And as you learned from just some of the impactful highlights that Amy has shared, we are quite masterful at stretching every single dollar we receive to achieve maximum benefit to protect and improve the local environment. So while this officially wraps up the business portion of the AGM meeting, let's turn our question to addressing some of the questions that have come in, and then we'll follow that rather with our final poll with a chance to win a terrific prize, and then we'll close the meeting off with some brief closing words from our incoming new president. So I'm taking a look at the Q&A here, and I see one of them is how many members are there? And if that is how many members were there up to today, I'm going to ask Brian Ellis, who is on the webinar with us, to maybe think about that and give us a number. The number of members going forward from today, as the new bylaw comes into effect, will be the same as the number of directors. And at the moment, that will be 10. Sorry, that will be 8 going forward.
Gloria, can you hear
Yep.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There were 21 members who were registered for the meeting this evening.
Great. Thanks very much, Brian. Okay, and
Gloria, sorry, Gloria,
yes.
if it's helpful, I just will mention, because I've had some other folks ask about that. We've intentionally shifted in recent years away from the membership, not that again that they're not valued, but we've really, as part of our strategic branching out focus, have wanted to grow audiences across all sectors, which just on our online reach is surpassed 10,000 folks. And then we regularly communicate, and that's through our online and our newsletters, etc. So the members represent the small portion that vote annually at our AGM.
Thanks, Amy. And people said they had a little trouble hearing Brian, so I don't know. Maybe what we can do is when we do put the summary out, we will make sure that I'm sorry. Anyway, so we might get Brian to just pipe up again and speak a little louder in terms of how many members we had at the time of registration.
21 members registered for the meeting.
21 members registered for the meeting. Thank you, Brian. Okay, alrighty. And we do have a question. Do we have any concerns about grant funding going forward due to the huge government deficits being incurred as a result of COVID? And maybe Amy, could I ask you to start that one off?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we have concerns, as do many other charities, social, environmental, all different groups that rely heavily on grant funding. So there's just so much in that pot to go around, and we're all anxious to have a piece of it. That being said, as I mentioned in the presentation and Alex mentioned, thanks to some great foresight from early board of directors, is we really wanted to ease some of our reliance on grants. Even though you saw from those pie charts, it's absolutely the majority. We always are going to rely on grants. We have been able to gain some ground in attracting some other private donors and other areas of revenue. So as Alex also mentioned, our longest time grant funder has been in the Ontario Trillium Foundation. They're funding part of our work right now, thank goodness. And I touch base with that foundation regularly, and we are waiting to hear if they are going to announce the opening date of their next line of grants, at which time, when they do, Burlington Green will be at the front of the line applying. Again, very strategically, very purposefully. We never program bend or grant chase. We know exactly where we need to go and what we need to do, and it's a great fit with Trillium, as well as other foundations and grants that we can tap into now that we're a registered charity. So we've never let that hold us back, and ever. We always are very proactive, and we're going to continue to be so going forward.
And the only thing I might add, Amy, just related to COVID, is like all other organizations, and fortunately, when the federal government put in place the wage subsidy and some of the other programs, they are open to charitable organizations, and we have availed ourselves of those. So it has helped us a little bit to bridge, and thank goodness for that. We did have a question about how to recruit new directors, and I'm always thrilled to get that question. If you go on our website and the About Us button, you will see under the board we have a link, but at any time, please feel free to shoot an email to president@burlingtongreen.org or BG or info@burlingtongreen.org and say you're interested, and we will be back to you. We have a pretty full process in terms of helping you to understand whether being a director is what you would like to do, and we also have obviously a process on our side in terms of vetting directors. As well, though, through that process, we always like to emphasize that there's so many ways that you can really support Burlington Green. And so some folks look at it and say, okay, I understand, but actually I'd prefer to volunteer on and be more involved in the hands-on work. So everything is open, and we always love to have lots of volunteers. Just a quick one follow up on the new model of membership. Who will have voting privileges at the next AGM? It will just be the board of directors. So it will be however many directors there are coming into the AGM in 2021. Okay.
And Gloria, if you like, I'm seeing some other questions come in.
Yep, go right ahead, Amy. Yep.
Would that be helpful?
Yes, it would.
Okay, yeah, for those that have been with us for a while or new, may not know that when we started, and certainly if Kurt, if you're still on the call, you'll know, and Marnie, that when we originally started as an organization, a handful of folks gathered around a kitchen table, we really were fortunate to benefit from the teachings of Oakville Green. And we really just adopted their model, which was a membership model, and we incorporated and got with our bylaws established, etc. And we hit the ground running, and that's how we've operated. And again, if it wasn't for the members, I don't think we would have got up and running as successfully and smoothly with that support, without that support. That being said, the true definition or meaning of intent behind membership is that members are actively engaged on a daily or for an ongoing basis on the governance and decision making that goes on in the organization. And we've grown to the size of our scale of our work that we far outpace that. So we really just, as much as we would love to, we just can't consult and be effective on the day-to-day decision making and be nimble at the same time. That being said, in no way does that mean that we're not listening to our members in the community. To the contrary, we've actually, in 10-month period alone, we reached 10,000 people by listening and asking them questions about what matters to them. Through our strategic plan, branching out, it's all about engaging and empowering and enabling the community versus depending too much on Burlington Green to do the work and the heavy lifting for others. So it's about effectiveness and being authentic and being accountable and transparent to the broader community, not losing sight of those groundbreaking members, but we really want to continue to operate with integrity and really be truthful to the true spirit of what membership is. So as I mentioned, I see questions about our reach. It's all of our members are certainly on our mailing list. I think our mailing list, and we can post that on the website, but I think it's at 2,000. Kayla does a wonderful job with our newsletter. She could chime in there, but I think it's, it used to be quite higher. And then with the Privacy Act, we actually had to clean up. All organizations had to go back and start over and rebuild their mailing list. But I think we're back up to about 2,000 just in our regular mailing list, and over 10,000 combined with our social media. And then again, our action events like cleanup draw 17,000 people. So hopefully that's helpful to our listening audience about why we're shifting the membership, and in no way does it take away from the amazing support that we receive from members, but we just want to be more authentic with how we operate every day and going forward.
Thanks so much, Amy. And I'll maybe just wrap this up because we don't want to chip into heavily into folks' evening, but we do have a couple of other good comments and questions. Just one was how to make donations, and I'm always thrilled to get that question. If again on our website, if you go to our donations, click the donations button anywhere, it's pretty prominent. It takes you there. You can make donations anytime, anywhere, from your phone, from anywhere at all, because we are encouraging monthly, and I think I know the question came from one of our wonderful monthly supporters, and we really encourage that. But yes, you can also make, in addition, you can make single donations at any time. And we have one other lovely comment here that I'll just share. I think BG has done a remarkable job. I'm just looking for more and better, and we are too. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap up. I think we've covered most of the key questions. Amy, unless you have anything else?
Just to report back in the spirit of accountability is thank you, Kayla. We currently have 2,578 on our mailing list.
Thank you.
And there's also a question that I see that you might want to field, Gloria, which is about how we recruit directors.
Yeah, I already did that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yep. Okay.
There's actually two questions on the auditors, so I have answered those in the chat, but just for anyone else on the call, BLR has been our auditor since 2016, and they're a local audit firm, local CPA audit firm, formerly Beckett, Lode & Reed, and I have posted their website as well in the chat for anyone that's curious.
Great. And I had one here, let me just check one quick thing. Yeah, and I think the other comment that Brian Ellis, our corporate secretary, very wisely just nudged me on was that yes, as much as we absolutely believe the new membership model is the way to go, it also is very, very strongly recommended as part of the adoption of the new legislation that will be brought into effect in Ontario. So we are not alone. Okay, and we're having lots of great comments coming here, so we will share those for sure going forward. Okay, so I'd like to thank you very much for your questions, and drum roll please, now to our closing poll question for everyone that will result in one lucky participant's name being randomly drawn tomorrow to receive a prize of a $50 gift card from Mountain Equipment Co-op, where you can find many eco-friendly and nature-loving options to choose from. So Kayla, could you launch our final poll? And this is for everybody, so please vote. And I know we had to make it challenging. What is the most important environmental issue to you? And clearly in the spirit of wanting to know what you're thinking about these days, and it is important. So if you could pick the one and hit submit. And because this is everyone, I'm going to give you another few seconds for everyone to vote. And we will be able to, what we can do, we actually can see the names of folks who voted, so that's how we will be able to do the draw tomorrow. Could you share the results, please, Marwa? Ah, very interesting. So plastic pollution is still all the way up there. All righty. Fantastic. Okay, so we will take those, and if you have other, I see some comments popping up, we will look at those, and for sure that we will include a lot of this in our feedback that we will post to the website. And certainly a question just came up, will volunteers and non-members be invited to the next AGM? Absolutely. We always make these public events, and we certainly won't change. Hopefully we will be doing it in person again, but if not, certainly everybody is always welcome at the AGM. So thank you all for joining us today, and my final official step is to announce that Nicole Mark, our incredibly hardworking and capable Vice President, is volunteering to step into the President's position to start her 3-year term at our next board meeting on June 1st. So I'll happily turn it over to Nicole for some closing remarks. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you, Gloria. I have some big shoes to fill, and I'm looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity. As Amy mentioned, the health of the environment needs our local efforts more than ever before, and I'm confident and excited about our team's ability and commitment in continuing to make a big impact. We always like to share action tips with you so you can join us in making a difference. Before we end today's meeting, we would like to provide you with 4 ways you can continue to help support Burlington Green. We will be sure to include the associated links in the thank you email you each will receive. The first way you can help us is by staying connected. If you're not already receiving our popular monthly e-newsletter, please sign up at burlingtongreen.org. Or if you already receive it, please share it with your friends and family and encourage them to sign up and receive it. The second way you can help is a call to action. Consider joining us in demanding greater public accountability and enhanced community resilience to climate change by signing the petition to the province of Ontario. The third way you can help is an action for the planet that can't wait, and it's to check out all our variety of solution-focused resources and videos on our website to discover how you can continue to make a difference from home. And the fourth way you can help is to help power our work by making a donation in any amount before the end of May so we can leverage the Matching May campaign. This is the end of our AGM. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Together, we can make a difference for a cleaner, greener, more environmentally responsible Burlington. Thank you.